Princess Alara of Andovia stood on the balcony of the royal palace, her long silver hair flowing gently in the wind. The city below sparkled like a field of stars, with ships moving through the sky lanes and glowing towers reaching toward the heavens. Andovia was known across the galaxy for its wisdom, beauty, and the intelligence of its people. But for Alara, none of it mattered at that moment. She felt a weight pressing on her chest, the kind that came from expectation and disappointment. For years, she had been the subject of courtship. Alien princes from distant worlds had traveled light years to ask for her hand. Each came with gifts, promises, and claims of great power. Yet every one of them had refused her. The first had been Prince Thorin of Virel, a tall creature with golden scales and eyes that shimmered like molten metal. He had bowed before her with great ceremony and praised her mind, her courage, her beauty. But when he learned that Alara often participated in strategy drills with the royal guards, he recoiled. "I cannot have a wife who might outshine me in war," he said, his voice trembling with fear. He left the palace in anger, leaving Alara staring after him, her lips pressed tightly together. Next had been Prince Kel of Zephyria, a soft-spoken man with wings that glowed in colors no human eye could see. He admired Alara's strength and kindness, yet when she showed her ideas for improving the city's defense systems, he frowned. "Your ideas, they are too daring. I cannot trust them," he said, as if daring and courage were flaws. Kel turned away, leaving Alara alone in the council chamber, frustrated and hurt. Even Prince Malor of Krathia, whose army was feared across 3 systems, refused her. Malor envied her ability to connect with people. "Your compassion makes you too human," he said. Alara had stared at him in disbelief. She could not understand how caring for others could be considered a weakness. Alara had begun to feel as though she would never find someone who could truly accept her for who she was. She was not delicate and she was not afraid of the unknown. She loved her people and she loved adventure. And yet the universe seemed to see these traits as threats rather than gifts. Standing on the balcony now, she watched a small group of children playing near the fountain below. Their laughter echoed through the plaza, pure and bright. Alara felt a small smile tug at her lips. Perhaps it was not the princes she should be thinking about. Perhaps her happiness did not depend on them at all. "Your Highness," called a voice behind her. Alara turned to see her personal aide, Lyra, approaching. Lyra was a careful observer of the palace, often reading the moods of others better than anyone. "They are coming again," Lyra said softly. "Another suitor from the outer systems. He arrives tonight." Alara raised an eyebrow. "Another one? Who is it this time?" "Prince Virel of Zintra," Lyra replied. "He is said to be wise and fair, but he is cautious. Very cautious." Alara sighed and shook her head. "Cautious. That is exactly what I do not need. I do not need someone afraid of life, afraid of me." Lyra smiled gently. "Then perhaps he will surprise you." Alara did not respond. She turned her gaze back to the city, watching the ships glide silently through the night sky. Perhaps, she thought, the universe had a way of surprising people, even when they least expected it. Later that evening, the grand doors of the palace opened, revealing a tall, slender figure in flowing blue robes. Prince Virel entered with careful steps, his eyes scanning the room with a mixture of curiosity and respect. Alara noticed immediately that he did not look impressed by the palace, the city, or even her. "He seemed honest, Your Highness," Virel said, bowing deeply. "I am honored to meet you." Alara inclined her head politely. "The honor is mine, Prince Virel. I have heard much about you." Virel smiled faintly. "I hope all that you have heard is true." The court watched silently as the two spoke. Virel asked questions about the city, about its people, and even about the strategy drills Alara led. He did not seem afraid of her mind or her courage. For a brief moment, Alara allowed herself a flicker of hope. Perhaps this prince would be different. Yet as the evening progressed, Virel's caution became evident. He praised her intellect but hesitated when she suggested changes to the city's defense systems. "It is bold," he said. Perhaps too bold for now. Alara felt a familiar pang of disappointment. "Too bold?" she repeated. "Why is it always too bold? Why is it wrong to be strong, to think, to care for people?" Virel hesitated, frowning. I do not mean to offend. You simply fear what you cannot control," Alara interrupted gently but firmly. Her silver eyes met his, steady and unwavering. "That has been the reason every prince has left this palace." There was silence in the hall. Varl looked at her, unsure how to respond. He did not bow or speak again. Eventually, he nodded stiffly. Perhaps you are right." And just like the others, he turned and left, his departure quiet but final. Alara remained in the hall, her hands resting lightly on the marble railing. She had expected disappointment, yet the weight of it still pressed down on her chest. Later that night, Alara walked through the palace gardens, the soft light of the twin moons casting silver shadows on the flowers. She paused by a fountain, listening to the gentle splash of water. Her thoughts drifted to the alien princes she had met, their fears, their doubts, their inability to see her for who she truly was. "Why is it always this way?" she whispered to herself. "Why is being human seen as weakness?" A voice interrupted her thoughts, soft but firm. "Perhaps it is not humanity that is the problem, Your Highness." Alara turned sharply to see Lyra standing behind her, holding a small lantern. "Then what is it?" Alara asked, her voice a mixture of frustration and curiosity. "Fear," Lyra said simply. "Fear of what they do not understand. Fear of courage. Fear of heart." Alara considered Lyra's words carefully. "And what about humans?" she asked. "Are we fearless?" Lyra smiled. "Not fearless, brave. Humans are brave because they do not always know what awaits them, yet they move forward anyway. That is why some in the galaxy fear us and why we often surprise them." Alara looked up at the stars, feeling a small warmth in her chest. Perhaps there was hope after all. Perhaps someone would come who could see her not as a challenge or a threat, but as a partner, as an equal. For the first time in many years, she allowed herself a faint smile. Tomorrow she would meet a new envoy from a distant world, a human delegation from Earth. She had heard stories about humans. They were unpredictable, clever and courageous in ways that even the greatest alien intellects could not always understand. As Alara walked back to her chambers, she felt a flicker of anticipation. Perhaps the universe had saved its most surprising gift for last. Perhaps, at long last, someone would arrive who could see her heart, and not just her strength, and somewhere in the stars above, a human ship moved steadily toward Andovia, unaware that it carried the first person who might truly understand Princess Alara. The sun had barely risen over the glassy towers of Andovia when the sound of distant engines echoed through the sky lanes. Princess Alara, still restless from the disappointments of the past, leaned on the balcony of the palace. She could see a small fleet approaching, their sleek shapes glinting in the morning light. "They have arrived," Lyra said quietly behind her. "The human delegation." Alara nodded, her silver eyes narrowing with curiosity. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy. They were known for being clever, resourceful, and brave, yet most species underestimated them. For a moment, Alara wondered what a human might be like in person. Could they truly be different from the alien princes who had all failed her? The palace courtyard was prepared for the delegation's arrival. Flags fluttered in the gentle breeze, and ceremonial guards stood at attention. When the human ship descended, its design was unlike anything Alara had seen before. Simple, functional, but elegant in its own way. No grand decorations, no displays of power, just a craft that worked, perfectly suited for travel across the stars. From the ship's hatch, a man stepped forward. He was of average height, with dark hair and steady brown eyes that seemed to measure the world with quiet intelligence. He wore a practical uniform, unadorned but clean and tidy. He carried no gifts, no grand promises, only a calm confidence. "This is Captain Rian," Lyra whispered to Alara. "He is the leader of the human delegation." Alara watched closely as Ryan approached, his gaze calm, respectful, and steady. There was something about him that was immediately different from the alien princes. He did not bow excessively, nor did he seem intimidated by the palace or its grandeur. Instead, he walked forward with a natural ease, his eyes meeting Alara's without hesitation. "Your Highness," Ryan said, bowing just enough to show respect. "It is an honor to meet you." Alara inclined her head politely. "The honor is mine, Captain Rian. Welcome to Andovia." Rian smiled faintly. "Thank you, Princess. I have heard much about your courage and your leadership." "It is inspiring," the court murmured in surprise. Even the most experienced Andovian officials had not expected a human to speak so confidently about a royal. Alara felt a spark of intrigue. Perhaps this human would indeed be different. "Come," she said, gesturing toward the palace halls. "We have much to discuss." The human delegation followed, a small group of men and women, all observing the palace with curiosity rather than awe. Ryan moved with quiet assurance, asking questions about the city, its people, and its defenses. He seemed genuinely interested, not in prestige, but in understanding. During the council meeting, Ryan asked about Andovia's security systems. Alara explained how she had helped design and implement strategies to protect the city from potential threats. Most alien princes had balked at her involvement, afraid that a woman's ideas might overshadow their own authority. "You designed these?" Ryan asked, his voice calm but filled with genuine interest. "This is impressive. Many in the galaxy would underestimate you." Alara blinked in surprise. No alien prince had ever acknowledged her achievement so openly. "Most do," she said quietly. "But I am not concerned with what they think." Ryan's eyes met hers, and there was a flicker of understanding there. "Then perhaps you are right to focus on what matters, not on approval. That is a rare quality in a leader." Alara felt a warmth in her chest. For the first time, she realized that not all beings in the galaxy measured strength by intimidation or power. Some valued courage, intelligence, and integrity above all. The council began discussing the trials for potential suitors, as was tradition in Andovia. Alara watched closely as Ryan listened attentively, taking notes and asking thoughtful questions. He did not boast or try to impress anyone. Instead, he focused on understanding the challenges and how he might approach them. Later, as the delegation walked through the palace gardens, Ryan spoke quietly to Alara. "I hope you do not mind my questions," he said. "I am not here to follow customs blindly. I wish to understand, to learn." Alara shook her head. "I do not mind at all. Most who have come here try to impress or manipulate. You do not." Ryan smiled faintly. "I believe respect matters more than grandeur, and courage matters more than rank." Alara considered his words carefully. Could it be possible that this human, so unassuming yet so confident, could truly be different from all the alien princes who had left her alone? The following days were filled with discussions, tours of the city, and observations of the trials that suitors would face. Ryan asked questions, offered solutions to problems, and even suggested improvements to some of the city's defenses. Alara noticed that his ideas were simple but clever, practical yet effective. When one of the senior advisors expressed doubt about Ryan's abilities, Alara intervened. "He is capable," she said firmly. "Do not underestimate him because he is human." The council members exchanged uneasy glances. They were not used to a princess defending a human with such conviction. But Alara did not waver. She had learned that the world respected those who believed in themselves and in others. One evening, as the twin moons rose over Andovia, Alara found herself walking alone in the palace gardens. Ryan approached, carrying a small lantern to light his way. "Princess," he said, bowing slightly. "May I join you?" Alara smiled faintly. "Of course, Captain. I am glad you are here." They walked together in silence for a few moments, listening to the gentle rustle of leaves and the soft chirping of nocturnal birds. "You seem different from the others," Alara said finally. "Most princes fear me, my ideas, or my courage. You do not." Ryan shook his head. "I do not fear what I do not understand. I seek to understand, that is all." Alara felt a small smile tug at her lips. "It is refreshing to meet someone like you. I had almost given up hope." "Hope is not something humans give up easily," Ryan said, his voice calm and steady. "We learn from challenges, from failures. That is how we grow." Alara glanced at him, considering his words. There was wisdom in them, a quiet strength that she had not seen in any alien prince. She realized that courage and intelligence could take many forms, not just in grand displays or demonstrations of power, but in quiet confidence and honest action. The next day, Ryan participated in preliminary trials designed for the suitors. He did not attempt to dominate or show off. Instead, he observed carefully, asked questions, and suggested practical solutions when challenges arose. Alara watched him closely, impressed by his ability to remain calm and thoughtful under pressure. The alien princes, by contrast, relied on power and intimidation. Some failed the tests because they could not adapt. Others hesitated, afraid to take risks. Ryan, however, succeeded by combining intelligence with courage, strategy with empathy. Alara realized that humans had something unique, They could think creatively under pressure, act boldly when necessary, and remain compassionate even in challenging circumstances. Perhaps this was why the galaxy often underestimated them. By the end of the day, Alara found herself speaking to Ryan privately. "You are unlike any suitor I have met," she said. "You do not fear me, you do not underestimate me, and you see things differently." Ryan smiled faintly. "I believe that everyone deserves to be seen for who they truly are, Princess. Not for what others think they should be, but for who they are inside." Alara felt a flutter of something new, curiosity, admiration, perhaps even hope. Could it be possible that this human, so simple yet so clever, could be the one who truly understood her? As night fell over the city, Alara looked out at the stars. Somewhere among them, humans had begun their journey to distant worlds, carrying with them courage, curiosity, and a heart that could surprise even the most skeptical of alien civilizations. And for the first time in many years, Alara felt a spark of excitement, not for a crown or a city or a title, but for the possibility of someone who could see her as she truly was. Captain Ryan, meanwhile, prepared for the trials to come. He did not seek glory, nor did he seek to impress. He sought understanding, fairness, and courage, and in doing so he had already begun to capture the attention of Princess Alara, not through status or power, but through the quiet strength of the human heart. The sun rose over Andovia, casting a golden glow across the palace grounds. Today marked the beginning of the trials for the suitors, a tradition meant to test courage, intelligence, and leadership. For centuries, no prince had been able to impress Princess Alara enough to earn her hand. Many had come, many had tried, but all had failed. Princess Alara watched from the balcony, her silver hair shining in the morning light. She felt a mixture of curiosity and anticipation. The alien princes looked confident as they prepared for the challenges ahead, their expressions full of pride. Captain Ryan, the human, stood quietly among them, observing, studying, and planning. He carried no arrogance, no fear, only a steady focus. The first trial was one of strategy. Each suitor had to lead a small team of guards through a simulated attack on the city, using both tactics and ingenuity to protect the citizens and preserve resources. Alara observed closely as the alien princes approached their teams. Prince Thorin of Virel relied on strength alone. He ordered his guards to build massive walls and block every street. When unexpected obstacles appeared in the simulation, he became frustrated. His team faltered, and the simulation ended with the city in chaos. Alara frowned. Strength alone would never be enough to earn her respect. Prince Kel of Zephyria tried a different approach. He relied on his advanced technology, using sensors and drones to detect threats before they arrived. But he hesitated at every decision, unsure whether to take risks. His plan was slow and ineffective, and he too failed the trial. When it was Ryan's turn, he stepped forward calmly. He surveyed the terrain, listened to the reports from the guards, and asked simple but important questions. "Where are the bottlenecks?" he asked. "What can we use from our environment?" Ryan divided his team wisely, placing guards at key points and using the city's natural features to guide traffic and protect citizens. When a simulated fire broke out, he led a small team to redirect it safely rather than panic. He adapted to every change in the simulation, thinking quickly and acting decisively. Alara watched, her silver eyes widening. Ryan was neither the strongest nor the fastest, but he was smart, resourceful, and brave. He treated his team with respect, listening to their ideas and encouraging them. By the end of the trial, the city had survived every simulated threat, and Ryan's team had suffered no losses. The council was stunned. "Remarkable," said one advisor. "No one has ever performed so well in this trial." Alara felt a spark of admiration. Humans were underestimated across the galaxy, yet here was proof that courage, intelligence, and cooperation could surpass raw power. The second trial tested diplomacy. Each suitor was sent to negotiate with representatives from neighboring planets, resolving a conflict without violence. The alien princes approached with arrogance and pride. They tried to intimidate the other representatives or force them into submission. Their negotiations ended in anger, resentment, or stalemate. Ryan, however, approached calmly. He listened carefully, asking questions to understand each side's concerns. When disagreements arose, he suggested compromises that respected both sides. He acknowledged the fears and hopes of every representative, building trust and cooperation. Alara watched from the balcony as the discussions unfolded. For hours, Ryan worked quietly, patiently, and respectfully. By the end of the trial, the conflict was resolved peacefully. The neighboring representatives praised his fairness and wisdom. "You see," Ryan said quietly to Alara later, "people respond better to respect than to fear. Strength is important, but it is not everything. True leadership comes from understanding." Alara felt a deep respect for him. The alien princes had failed because they relied on power, pride, or fear. Ryan succeeded because he valued thought, courage, and empathy. The third trial was physical. The suitors were taken to a vast rocky canyon outside the city. Their task was to climb treacherous cliffs, cross unstable bridges, and retrieve a symbolic artifact from the top of a high plateau. Prince Malor of Krathia charged forward with his soldiers, relying on sheer strength. Many guards were injured, and Malor nearly fell several times. His arrogance and impatience caused delays, and he failed to reach the artifact. Ryan, by contrast, moved carefully, observing the terrain and considering the safest and fastest path. When a bridge collapsed beneath him, he did not panic. He calculated a new route, helping one of the guards who had slipped. With patience and courage, he reached the artifact safely, carrying it back to the starting point. Alara's heart beat faster as she watched him. He was not the strongest, but he was brave, intelligent, and steady under pressure. She realized that these qualities, so often overlooked, were the very traits that mattered most to her. During a brief rest, Alara approached Ryan. "You make it look easy," she said, smiling. "But I know it is not." Ryan shook his head. "It is not easy. Every step requires thought. Every choice matters. That is why I focus on what I can control, and I help others when I can." Alara felt a warmth in her chest. Here was someone who did not seek to dominate or impress, but to act with courage, intelligence, and care. The final trial was the most unusual. Each suitor was placed in a simulation of a collapsing city, where they had to rescue civilians and restore order. Panic, confusion, and danger surrounded them. The alien princes tried to impose rigid control. Many failed because they did not adapt to the changing situation or failed to help others. Ryan moved quickly, calmly, and strategically. He directed people to safety, solved problems on the spot, and remained composed even as obstacles appeared unexpectedly. One moment he helped a child trapped under debris. The next he directed guards to block a collapsing wall. Every action was deliberate, every decision thoughtful. Alara observed in awe. He did not seek glory, yet his actions spoke louder than words. Courage, intelligence, empathy, and leadership combined in a way that no alien prince had ever demonstrated. When the simulation ended, the council convened to discuss the results. The alien princes had failed in nearly every trial. Ryan had succeeded in all, not through power or intimidation, but through skill, courage, and understanding. Alara's heart swelled with admiration. "He is remarkable," she whispered to Lyra. "Yes, Your Highness," Lyra replied. "He shows what humans are capable of when they are respected and trusted." Alara realized something important. The alien princes had rejected her because they feared her strength, intelligence, and heart. Ryan had succeeded because he respected her, saw her as an equal, and acted with courage and integrity. That evening, as the sun set and the palace glowed in soft golden light, Alara walked through the gardens. She found Ryan standing by a fountain, quietly observing the water. "You did well today," she said softly. Ryan looked at her, his brown eyes steady and calm. "Thank you, Princess. I did what I could. Every decision matters, and every person matters." "That is all I can do," Alara nodded. "You are different from anyone I have ever met. You are not afraid of me, and yet you act with courage. You think, you care, and you lead. That is rare." Ryan smiled faintly. "I believe everyone has courage. Sometimes it just needs a chance to be seen." Alara felt a flicker of hope and excitement she had not felt in years. Perhaps the universe had finally sent someone who could understand her, someone who could match her heart and mind. As they stood together under the moonlight, a soft breeze carrying the scent of flowers, Alara realized that the trials had not just tested skill or courage, they had revealed the truth. Ryan was different. He was not just a visitor from a distant world. He was someone who might truly see her as she was, not as the galaxy expected her to be. For the first time, She felt a genuine spark of excitement. Not for a title, not for approval, but for the possibility of connection, understanding, and respect. The alien princes had failed as they always had. But the human had succeeded, not by proving himself stronger, richer, or more powerful, but by showing what humans often did best: courage, creativity, compassion, and heart. And Princess Alara knew deep in her heart that the story of this human and the Princess of Andovia was only just beginning. The next morning, the palace was alive with activity. Princess Alara moved through the halls, observing the preparations for the final ceremonial trial, where the suitors' skills would be assessed in front of the Andovian Council and representatives from neighboring worlds. Today would show who truly deserved to stand beside her, not through status or wealth, but through courage, wisdom, and integrity. Alara felt a quiet anticipation. The alien princes had already shown their weaknesses, but today, there could be unexpected challenges. And Rian, the human, seemed calm yet focused. He moved among the guards and advisors, quietly asking questions, checking supplies, and observing the layout of the palace grounds. Alara noticed how attentive he was, not boastful, not demanding, simply thoughtful and careful. The ceremony began with fanfare. Crowds gathered, and holographic projections displayed the upcoming trials for all to see. One of the council advisors, Lord Venar, stepped forward. Today's trial will test not only strength and strategy, but also honesty, courage, and judgment under pressure. Each suitor will face unexpected obstacles designed to challenge their character and skill. The first challenge was a simulated breach of the palace. Teams of guards and suitors had to secure key areas while protecting civilians from the threat. Alara observed closely as the alien princes rushed forward. Prince Malor, confident in his power, commanded with sharp orders. His guards followed, but several key points were left unprotected. Panic erupted in one area and the simulation almost failed. Malor's pride prevented him from adapting to the changing circumstances. Prince Thorin of Virel was next. He tried to control every move, demanding absolute obedience. When the simulation shifted unexpectedly, he became frustrated, unable to adjust his strategy. His team stumbled, leaving critical sections vulnerable. Then came Rian. He stepped forward, calm and composed. He studied the situation carefully, moving through the palace halls with attention and precision. He spoke quietly to his team, suggesting actions while listening to their input. When a simulated wall collapsed, he acted quickly, guiding guards and civilians to safety. When a group of trapped civilians needed help, he did not hesitate, carefully using the environment to remove debris and clear a path. Alara watched in awe. Ryan's actions were deliberate, intelligent, and compassionate. He did not seek glory, nor did he attempt to dominate others. He focused on solving problems and helping those around him. The simulation ended successfully, the palace fully secured, and every virtual civilian safe. As the crowd erupted in quiet admiration, Alara felt a spark of pride. "He is remarkable," she whispered to Lyra. "Yes, Your Highness," Lyra replied. "He shows what humans are capable of when they are trusted and respected." But the trial was not without its dangers. During a later challenge, a jealous alien prince attempted to sabotage Rian. Prince Kel of Zephyria, bitter over being outshined, had secretly tampered with some of the equipment in the simulation. The breach could have caused serious problems if not addressed. Rian noticed something was off immediately. He checked every mechanism carefully, tracing anomalies and patterns in the system. When he discovered Kel's sabotage, he did not act in anger. Instead, he quietly informed Alara and the council, explaining the situation and correcting the errors without causing harm to anyone. Alara approached him afterward, her silver eyes shining. "You handled that very well. Most people would have reacted with anger or revenge." Ryan smiled faintly. "Anger often clouds judgment. I prefer to act carefully and fix the problem. That way, everyone is safe and lessons are learned." Alara felt a warmth in her heart. This human was unlike anyone she had met. He combined intelligence, courage, and compassion in a way that no alien prince had ever demonstrated. Later, as the sun set, Alara and Ryan walked together in the palace gardens. The air was filled with the scent of flowers, and the soft glow of the twin moons reflected on the fountain water. "Princess," Ryan said softly, "I do not wish to compete for your hand through power or rank. I only wish to show who I am honestly and openly." Alara nodded. That is exactly what I admire about you. Every other suitor has tried to impress or intimidate you. You simply act with courage and understanding. Rian looked at her steadily. I believe that true leadership is not about power, but about seeing people, understanding them, and acting with integrity. I see you, Princess. Not just as a ruler, but as someone who cares deeply about her people. Alara felt a spark of admiration and connection she had never experienced before. For years, alien princes had turned away, afraid of her courage, her intelligence, or her compassion. But Rian, he embraced it, respected it, and even valued it. The council reconvened later that evening. The final assessments were discussed, and the alien princes were visibly uneasy. They had underestimated the human, and his performance had proven them wrong. Ryan had not only succeeded in the trials, but had also demonstrated moral courage by uncovering sabotage and preventing harm. Lord Vinar, the senior advisor, spoke aloud. Captain Rian has shown remarkable skill, intelligence, and integrity. His actions have saved lives, resolved conflicts, and demonstrated leadership in ways that surpass any suitor in recent memory. The alien princes looked down, ashamed. They had relied on power, fear, and pride, and each had failed. Ryan, the human, had succeeded by relying on courage, wisdom, and empathy. Alara's heart swelled with respect. He sees the world differently, she whispered to Lyra. He values courage, thought, and heart, not just status or wealth. That is what I have been waiting for. Later, Rian approached Alara in private. Princess, he said, I know I am different from the others. I do not claim to be perfect, nor do I seek to impress anyone. I only wish to act rightly, to help where I can, and to lead with care. Alara met his gaze. That is exactly what I admire. You act with thought and courage, and you care. You do not fear me or my strength. You see me as I truly am. Ryan smiled faintly. That is how it should be. Leadership, courage, and heart should not be feared. They should be understood and respected. The palace gardens were quiet, bathed in moonlight. Alara realized something important. The alien princes had failed because they feared her. They feared her strength, her intelligence, and her heart. Ryan had succeeded because he respected her, understood her, and acted with courage and integrity. For the first time in years, Alara felt a spark of hope. Perhaps the universe had finally sent someone who could match her heart and mind, someone who could see her as she truly was. Ryan, meanwhile, prepared for the final presentation of the trial results. He did not seek recognition, nor did he boast. He acted with quiet confidence, knowing that his actions had already demonstrated his character. When the council gathered to announce the results, it was clear to all present. Rian had not only passed the trials, but had excelled in every aspect. The alien princes looked on with unease, realizing that their attempts to impress had failed. Alara stepped forward, her silver eyes scanning the room. The trials are complete. The results speak for themselves. One suitor has shown courage, intelligence, and integrity in ways no other has. That suitor is Captain Rian. A hush fell over the room. The alien princes bowed respectfully, some with shame, others with reluctant acceptance. Ryan stood quietly, nodding to Alara and the council. Thank you, Princess, he said softly. I did what I could, guided by respect and care. Alara smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest she had not felt in years. The trials had not only tested skill and courage, they had revealed truth. Ryan was different. He was not just a visitor from another world. He was someone who could truly see her as she was. That night, as the palace rested under the twin moons, Alara and Ryan walked together once more. You have changed how I see the universe, Alara said quietly. Most people judge by power or pride. You judge by courage and heart. Ryan looked at her with calm honesty. And that is what the universe needs more of, Princess. Courage, understanding, and care. We all have a chance to make a difference when we act rightly. Alara's heart swelled with admiration and hope. The alien princes had failed, as they always had. But the human had succeeded not by power or status, but by showing what humans often did best: courage, creativity, compassion, and heart. And Princess Alara knew that the story of this human and the Princess of Andovia was only just beginning. The day had arrived. The grand hall of the Andovian palace was alive with light, color, and anticipation. Representatives from across the galaxy had gathered to witness the conclusion of the trials, where Princess Alara would make her decision. The alien princes stood in their formal attire, proud yet tense, aware that their repeated failures had left them on uncertain ground. Captain Ryan, the human, stood quietly at the edge of the hall, calm and composed, yet his eyes reflected focus and determination. Alara entered the hall, her silver hair catching the sunlight streaming through the crystal windows. She walked with quiet confidence, aware of the eyes upon her. She had spent many days observing, judging, and reflecting. She had seen how the alien princes had relied on power, fear, and pride. She had seen how Ryan, with quiet courage, intelligence, and heart, had succeeded where all others had failed. The council stood and bowed, acknowledging her presence. Lord Vinar, the senior advisor, spoke first. "Your Highness, the trials are complete. The suitors have demonstrated their skills, courage, and judgment. The final choice rests with you." Alara took a deep breath, glancing at the alien princes. They had tried to impress her with wealth, titles, and power. They had failed to see her as a person, as someone capable of thought, courage, and care. She saw their pride and hesitation, their inability to understand her, and she felt neither anger nor disappointment, only clarity. Then her eyes met Ryan's. The human did not boast or bow excessively. He simply stood honest and steady, waiting to be seen for who he truly was. Alara's heart swelled with admiration. She thought of how he had succeeded in every trial, not by force, not by intimidation, but by courage, intelligence, empathy, and integrity. He had acted with thought, care, and respect, proving that humans were capable of greatness beyond what most alien species imagined. Alara raised her hand, and the hall fell silent. "I have made my decision," she said, her voice calm but firm. "I will not marry for power, for status, or for fear. I will marry someone who shows courage, integrity, and heart. Someone who sees the world clearly, who values life, and who understands the responsibilities of leadership." A murmur passed through the crowd. The alien princes exchanged uneasy glances, unsure what her words meant. Alara continued, her eyes fixed on Ryan. "Captain Ryan, you have shown all these qualities. You have acted with courage, solved problems with intelligence, and treated others with respect and care. You have proven that true leadership is not measured by power, but by heart and mind. For these reasons, I choose you." Ryan's eyes widened slightly, but he did not speak immediately. The hall held its breath. Slowly, he stepped forward. "Princess Alara," he said, his voice steady, "I am honored by your trust. I do not seek to rule you or impress you with titles. I only hope to stand beside you, to serve with integrity, and to act rightly in all things." Alara smiled. "That is all I could ever wish for." The alien princes bowed respectfully, some with shame, others with reluctant admiration. They had underestimated both Alara and the human, and they knew they had lost not because of lack of power, but because of lack of understanding. As the crowd celebrated quietly, Alara turned to Ryan. "You have changed the way I see the universe," she said. "Most beings judge by power or fear. You judge by courage, thought, and heart. That is what matters most." Ryan nodded. "And that is what the universe needs more of, Princess. Courage, understanding, and care. Every person has a chance to make a difference when they act rightly." Alara felt a warmth in her chest. She realized that this human, so different from any other suitor, had shown her not just skill or bravery, but understanding. He had recognized her as an equal, respected her choices, and acted with integrity. He had proven that humans, though underestimated, could be among the greatest beings in the galaxy. The festivities continued into the evening, with music, laughter, and light. Citizens and visitors celebrated not just the conclusion of the trials, but the beginning of a new era. Humans had gained respect, and Princess Alara had found someone who truly understood her. Later, Alara and Ryan walked together through the palace gardens, the twin moons reflecting on the fountains and flowers. The air was soft, carrying the scent of blossoms and the quiet hum of the city. "You have shown me something important," Alara said quietly. "That courage and integrity matter more than appearances, and that understanding and respect can change the world." Ryan looked at her with steady eyes. "And you have shown me that leadership is not about dominance or fear, but about empathy, thought, and care. Together, we can build something better for your people and for the galaxy." Alara felt a spark of hope and excitement. The alien princes had failed, as they always had. But the human had succeeded, not through power or status, but through qualities that transcended titles and species: courage, intelligence, empathy, and heart. The next days were filled with preparations for the official announcement and celebrations. Ryan worked quietly alongside Alara, helping plan strategies to improve city defenses, strengthen diplomacy, and support the people. He was not merely a suitor. He was a partner, thinking with care and action that reflected both his intelligence and heart. The alien princes, meanwhile, departed quietly, having learned a lesson in humility. They had underestimated humans, underestimated Alara, and underestimated the power of courage and empathy. Finally, the day arrived when Alara and Ryan stood before the city and representatives from across the galaxy. Alara raised her hand, addressing the crowd. Citizens of Andovia, representatives from neighboring worlds, today marks a new chapter. We have witnessed courage, intelligence, and heart. We have seen that leadership is not about fear or power, but about understanding and care. Today, I am proud to announce that Captain Ryan of Earth will stand beside me, not just as a partner, but as a leader who embodies the values we hold most dear. The crowd erupted in applause. People cheered, waving banners and celebrating not only the union of the princess and the human, but also the recognition of qualities that mattered most: courage, empathy, and wisdom. Alara turned to Ryan. Thank you for showing me, for proving that actions speak louder than words, and that courage and heart can change everything. Ryan smiled. And thank you, Princess, for trusting me, for seeing me for who I am. Together we can make a difference, not just for Andovia, but for all the worlds that seek understanding and hope. That evening, as the twin moons rose over the palace towers, Alara and Ryan walked together on the balcony. The city below sparkled like a field of stars, each light reflecting hope, courage, and possibility. Alara leaned close, her silver hair brushing against his shoulder. The alien princes refused me because they feared who I am, but you accepted me, not with fear or pride, but with understanding and heart. Ryan took her hand gently. And I will always stand with you, Princess. Together, we will face the universe with courage, intelligence, and care. That is how humans and Andovians can create something better. Alara felt a happiness she had never known, not because of titles, crowns, or wealth, but because she had found someone who truly understood her, someone who could match her courage, respect her heart, and share in the work of leading with wisdom and care. The stars above seemed brighter that night, as if the universe itself celebrated the union of two spirits who had proven that courage, thought, and empathy could triumph over fear, pride, and misunderstanding. In the days that followed, Andovia entered a new era. Humans were respected as equals across diplomatic councils, and Ryan's presence inspired many to value courage, integrity, and intelligence above all else. Alara and Ryan worked together, planning for the future, protecting their people, and demonstrating that understanding and heart were the greatest powers of all. And though the alien princes had once refused her, Princess Alara knew that she had chosen wisely. She had found someone who did not fear her, who did not seek to dominate, and who acted with courage and care. Together they stood as a symbol of unity, hope, and the extraordinary potential of humanity. As night fell over the city, Alara and Ryan watched the twin moons rise over the palace gardens. Side by side they understood that their journey had only just begun, and that with courage, wisdom, and heart, there was no challenge too great, no obstacle too daunting, and no star too far to reach. The galaxy had underestimated humans, as it often did, but Princess Alara had seen the truth. Courage, creativity, empathy, and heart, these were the powers that could change worlds. And in the human standing beside her, she had found not just a suitor, but a partner, a friend, and a heart that truly belonged to her.